In the 1960s, a Stanford professor named Walter Mischel uncovered something shocking. Through a series of groundbreaking psychological studies, Mischel and his team tested hundreds of children, and most of them around 4 to 5 years old. And he discovered what many now consider the single most powerful predictor of success in health, wealth, and happiness. Here's what happened. And more importantly, here's how you can harness this discovery to transform your own life. It's called the marshmallow test. This experiment began by bringing each child into a room. And they were expected to be sitting in a chair and in front of a marshmallow. Now, the researcher offered a deal to all the children. He said, I'm going to leave this room now. Any of you who did not eat the marshmallow while I am away will be rewarded with a second marshmallow. However, if you eat your marshmallow before I come back, you will not get a second marshmallow. Understood? Yes, sir, they shouted. The researcher exited the class for 15 minutes. What happened next was pure entertainment. Now, some kids devoured the marshmallow the instant the door closed. They couldn't wait. Their patience was very low. Others, looked around, walked around, stood up, sat down, wrestled with this temptation, and finally gave in a few minutes later. There was a lot of activity that happened in that room. But a few actually made it. It's just 15 minutes, right? A few made it. Now, this test was carried out again and again and again just to be sure that, it's actually a workable, practical test. It was finally published in 1972 and became the legendary marshmallow experiment. Now, the marshmallow wasn't what made it famous, right? It's the understanding behind the test. It's not about people eating, no. It's about, just to put it in Nigerian context, if I give you would you rather I give you 1,000 naira today or 2,000 naira next month? Would you rather take 50,000 naira next month or take 70,000 naira in the next 5 months? Would you rather take 100,000 naira this year or 140,000 naira next year? And to get that 140,000 naira, you would have to see the 100,000 naira and not touch it. So there are two constraints. First of all, there is a reward coming next year. You are sure of that reward. But to get that reward, you have to resist the temptation of the current reward. That's what makes it an epic test, because it shows exactly how life works. Because all your learnings will compound, because all your experiences will compound, it means that most of the result will come at the end of the curve. If the curve starts here, you continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And most of your experiences would literally happen towards the ending of the curve, because everything you've been learning. So the pain, frustration is so much more when you are at the beginning of your journey. It's so painful. It's usually much more painful than you want at the beginning of your journey. Because You are just beginning to learn things. You're beginning to figure out life, figure out relationships, figure out a skill, figure out a business, figure out consistency. Some of the principles you never knew before you started making money. Now you know them, and now you are bound to them. And so, this marshmallow test is a test you keep undertaking every day, whether you like it or not. This is standard to all humans. You're always going to be taking the marshmallow test. In your finance, the more you touch your money, the more you're failing the test. I already taught you in a previous episode about the half-life theory, how that half of your money should not be touched. It should be kept because it will compound in the future. You will need it in the future, but not now. Keep it. Same with your skill set. Continue doing it without seeing results, because in the future, it will compound. You will become so good. It would have compounded so much. It would look so easy in the future. People would ask you how you're doing it. But you're getting that result at the end, at the far end of your journey. People didn't see this, beginning end. So most of the results start here, not here. So would you be willing to delay and just remove your eyes from the present things that will try to pull you back? Distractions, disappointments, switching to a new field. Some of these things, they are not unnatural. Every human being feels the need to just stop it because it's not working fast. You didn't start getting the payout within 2 months, 4 months, and especially in our generation where you're coming online and you're seeing people who have gotten payouts after 17 years, 14 years, 13 years, 7 years, and you just come and see their post. So because you see their post, you feel like they just started and they have a background track record you know nothing about. And so it becomes way more difficult. And that's totally normal. It's a Nigerian, it's a normal thing, it's a human thing to feel. But only the people who can endure that beginning curve, because that's the most difficult. The startup is the most difficult phase of a company. That's period, because you guys are going to have to do all of the work. Eventually, all arbitrage compounds. You can raise capital because now you've done the difficult work you need to do. You can now hire people because now you've raised capital and you have money, or you've gotten revenue and you have money. Both give you more money to spend on more people, which reduces the amount of work, and the amount of work continues to reduce over time, even though you should still put in enough volume until your startup business has achieved escape velocity. Now, for this marshmallow test, only few made it to 15 minutes, and that's how life is. Those few eventually become the great and successful. And those many who buckle, those many who suddenly buckle, those ones eventually become the ones that admire those at the top but can't get their result. Unfortunately, this test was very interesting for me because I generally like children, right? And because they show some of the purest forms of human behavior. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, the environment has been made for children so hard and so tough and so unsupportive that they begin to develop a certain hatred for school. You would notice you didn't really like school. You won't study as a student, right? Just think of your younger days. Students in Nigeria especially do not study until it is too close to exams. And that is why HammetLabs built an AI teacher that prepares teenagers for the scary JAMB examinations. Guess what? This teacher is literally built on WhatsApp. So they just need to be on WhatsApp and chat up this teacher and get free lessons through the power of artificial intelligence. So help wipe the tears of decades by sharing this link, jam.hammetlabs.com. That is jam.hammetlabs.com. Hammet with a double M. jam.hammetlabs.com. Back to my story. Many years later, I remember those marshmallow children. They had grown into adults. The researchers tracked them and measured their progress across different life metrics: health, finance, success, whatever you want. These scientists tracked them into the future and noticed that those people who won the test, who could be patient until they got the marshmallow, those people had so much more success, better examination score, lower rates of addiction, healthier body weight, better stress management, superior social skills, superior financial management, a better life. Literally, they had a better life because they were naturally more patient. Patience seems to be the greatest virtue, like it's popularly known. Patience is the greatest virtue. It takes patience to focus on one thing, even though it's not getting results, because you know, and you're trusting the journey, that journey eventually gets better. Eventually, not at the beginning. It doesn't get better in the beginning. In fact, it gets much more painful, much more worse, much more confusing. But that's exactly where you are passing the test. So if you look around, you'll see this truth everywhere. Most people can't resist binge watching TV, Netflix. They can't. They know they shouldn't be doing that. They know that thing, having what you want, going for what you want, getting entertainment, things that sweeten your soul and give you dopamine. Those things, they know that these things are not good for me. They reduce my strength. They reduce my ability to walk. But they don't skip those things. So every night, the night time, you have so little energy. You just feel like, let me just, and then, boom. Success ultimately boils down to choosing the pain of discipline over the seductive ease of distraction. That is called delayed gratification. Listen, this is why you should share this episode with your friends if you enjoyed it. Plus, if you want to get more episodes like this, you can find it on my Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and all podcast platforms. Just search for Witty Prince Mental Models. Or if you prefer text, visit wittyprince.substack.com to get the mental models as an article. Our time is up. See you on the next episode tomorrow by 8 a.m. Be there. So, we're done.